Tani Ronung. Hello, this is East Kimberley Bulletin with Davina Toby Wright. Coming up in this edition, confusion over big changes to Centrepay, which start on the 3rd of November. We'll explain the changes and how they will affect locals. The wet season has arrived early, with wild weather lashing the Kimberley, and authorities urging us to prepare for the looming cyclone season. An increase in burglaries and abandoned cars during the school holiday period.
I'll bring you local sports and images from the Kununurra Invaders team, playing at the recent Sinju basketball comp in Broome.
But first, the Shire Wyndham East Kimberley has a new council, with 4 brand new councillors and 2 existing ones, sworn in this week, following last weekend's local government election. Nathalia Imberlung has been following this story.
Thanks, Sabina. Yes, I'm here outside Council Chambers, where the 4 new councillors and another 2 existing ones are being sworn in. Let's go inside and take a look.
The 4 include the only Indigenous person to sit on council, Sally Martin, who was elected for a 4-year term, alongside Keita Bond. The other 2 new councillors, Vina Golden and Claire Kane, have been elected for 2-year terms, whilst current councillors Tony Schaefer and Scott Timms will sit for another 4 years. Voting was slow, with numbers looking very low, but in the end there was a total of 950 formal votes, which was down slightly on the last local government election. With 3,825 eligible voters, that's an average of 25%, well below the state's average of 30%. The low turnout across the state has prompted local government minister Hannah Beasley to flag possible changes in the future. These include making council elections mandatory, like in all other states and territories besides WA and South Australia, and possible fixed 4-year elections.
All 6 councillors sworn in will join the 3 other current councillors, including Shire President David Menzel, with the first meeting of the new council due on Tuesday, 28th of October. We wish the new council well. To see the full election results and find out more about our local councillors, visit the Shire's website, www.swec.wa.gov.au.
Big changes to Centrepay start on Monday the 3rd of November, but many local users and community organisations in the East Kimberley say they haven't been consulted. Warringah Media has found a lot of confusion about what's changing, including whether food and groceries are in or out. Centrepay is a system used by more than 500,000 Australians, including thousands across the Kimberley. It allows people to pay for goods and services through deductions from the Centrelink payments. Initially, it was introduced as a way of paying essential bills like rent and power, but has expanded over time to be used in shops selling clothes, white goods, phones, and speakers. There's been a series of controversies, with some businesses found to be taking advantage of mostly Aboriginal customers by signing them up to debts they did not fully understand and couldn't afford. So the federal government has announced a tightening of the scheme. Julian Bott from Services Australia explains.
We're taking Centrepay back to basics as a service for paying bills and also introducing new protections for customers. So what we're doing is removing things like consumer leases and clothing and other household goods like white goods, electrical appliances and furniture from being able to offer Centrepay. So these are services where there have been problems in the past. We're also introducing new protections like mandatory end dates for deductions, and there's a new application and approval process for businesses who want to apply to offer Centrepay from the 3rd of November.
Here's the full list of Kimberley businesses approved for Centrepay, with 16 in the East Kimberley, including organisations like St Joseph's School in Kununurra and Wyndham Youth Aboriginal Corporation. But 6 Kununurra businesses will no longer be able to operate in the Centrepay scheme from November the 3rd, though they'll keep taking people's deductions from purchases made before November 3rd for another 12 months. Kununurra local Julie Diganari says users like her were not consulted, and these changes will have a big impact on her family.
I haven't heard or about the changes yet, but seeing that you asked me them questions now, me, myself, and the people of the Coronado area, or the family, we will be affected by it. Even pensioners, I think it'll have a big effect on the pensioners and people that live in homeless houses.
East Kimberley Bulletin has found a lot of confusion about whether food and groceries is in or out, but Julian Bott from Services Australia confirms it's in remote communities and towns with less than 10,000 people.
So businesses like supermarkets can still offer Centrepay as a payment option for food in remote areas like Kununurra. So food has not actually been removed from supermarkets in Kununurra. So the IGA is still able to provide the food services through Centrepay because you are defined as being a remote area, therefore eligible for that. If Coles doesn't want to be involved, then we aren't actually in a position to say why. You'd need to ask Coles.
Warringah Media has asked Coles, who tells us that their culture and Indigenous team is working towards a way Coles can become a part of Centrepay. But while supermarkets and community stores are in, butchers like the one in Kununurra will no longer be a part of Centrepay. Julie Diganari says the changes will make life harder for local people living on the lowest incomes.
So you take the Centrepay away from them, it'll be back to stage one. We don't, they wouldn't know how to spend their money, and the money will simply go on other things and not on food or bed or clothing or things for beginning. Yes, it'll make it much more worse.
Users like Julie are not alone. It appears that East Kimberley groups, including the major Aboriginal community control organisations, were also not consulted about the changes. One of them told us that
no one has spoken to us, and we have not heard of anyone being contacted. This is extremely disappointing, given that it will impact our community.
But Services Australia says it's done its best. Julian Bott says they're confident the changes will improve the scheme and better protect local people.
Just unfortunately, Australia's a big place and we weren't able to get everywhere. So nobody physically came to the Kimberley in that particular area, no, but they did go to Broome, for example. We went out to Derby. We've also been in contact with Bush Money Mob. They're a financial counselling agency that are based out of Broome, but they operate through the remote areas of the Kimberley. But the other thing that we did, we wrote out to a range of different community organisations across the country. So we certainly have done our best to try and give as much of a voice as possible to people all around the country as to how to make Centrepay to be the best it could potentially be.
Well, the East Kimberley has experienced some wild weather in the past few weeks, with bushfires leading into the build-up, turning into early wet season rains. Evan Ransley reports.
It sure has been crazy weather of late. Remember all those bushfires not long ago when temperatures started to hit 40 degrees? Well, unpredictable storms have brought much needed but off-season rains, including last weekend's hailstorm that hit Kununurra and surrounding areas. It's not just the croaking frogs signalling the start of wet season. Jessica Lingard officially confirms it.
Yeah, so it does seem like we are experiencing an earlier start to the wet season. Typically for the northeast Kimberley, we would start to see the arrival of some intermittent rainfall, showers, thunderstorms from about mid-October. And it does seem like that is on track, that we have had some good falls, but at this stage, too early to see where we're looking at for the timing of that monsoon trough.
The unpredictable weather has forced the Bureau to cease publishing its usual tropical cyclone outlook. They say historical modelling is less reliable now due to changing climate. But the early onset of wet season doesn't mean that the monsoon or cyclone season is here just yet. Jessica Lingard again.
It's going to ebb and flow. It's not just going to be straight into the rainfall. We are going to have rainy weeks, and then we'll have drier, more humid, hotter weeks as well. If the rain continues to come through, it may sort of prevent us from building that heat up. now that we've had a few rains nice and early this season, hopefully that continues to play out towards a really good wet season for the rest of the next sort of 4 to 6 months.
In the meantime, the WA Department of Fire and Emergency Service, DFES, is reminding us to prepare for the coming severe weather season. This means that the tropical cyclones, tropical lows and severe thunderstorms are on their way, so start preparing. DFES District Officer Matt Thomas is travelling across the Kimberley as part of the annual wet season campaign, urging communities to be prepared. Matt Thomas will visit us here, also joining Scotty Day for a chat on The Brekkie Show next week.
You might have noticed a spate of abandoned cars around Kununurra of late. Local police say the school holiday period has been a very busy time for the Kununurra station, with burglaries up, especially cars, which are then abandoned once they crash, get bogged, or run out of petrol. Speaking with Scotty Day on The Brekkie Show, Senior Sergeant Stuart Fairley say most of the offenders are aged from 8 to 15 years old, and most are being caught due to CCTV footage and community reporting. Senior Sergeant Fairley says most of them can barely drive.
I think generally, as I said, like we're dealing with young offenders that are stealing vehicles and they don't know how to drive. So it's only a matter of time before they become bogged or stuck or don't know how to drive the manual car. So we don't seem to have a trend here of them leaving town. They just drive around town because I don't think they actually know where else to go. That results in them just driving until they've had enough fun or it gets bogged or crashed or something like that, and then they just leave it on the side of the road.
It's time for local sport with Eric Cox Junior.
Thanks, Davina. We've had rain, but it continues to heat up here in the East Kimberley outdoor basketball comp. I'll bring you all the actions soon. But first, some images from our recent Sinju basketball comp in Broome. Unks Eddie took me and the boys over for the annual event, and we had a blast. Our Kununurra Invaders team won the first 4 matches, scoring some deadly buckets. But then we fell short in the second finals and didn't make the grand final, which was won by a local team called Bayside. On returning last week, we went straight into round 4 action of the East Kimberley outdoor basketball comp here, with my Black Magics coming back from 8 points down to beat the Hornets by 40 to 32, while the Bulls smashed the Warriors by 48 to 25. And in round 5 action this week, my Black Magics did it again, beating the Warriors 32 to 23.
Come on, Mike!
While the Philo had a good win over the Hornets by 28 to 17. The Bulls had a bye and stay on top of the men's comp, followed by our Black Magics and the rest. The women's comp has restarted, with the Warriors downing the Swish by 18 to 9 and the Hornets thrashing the Misfits 41 to 17. So the end of round 5, and we are halfway through the outdoor comp, with the grand final on Tuesday the 2nd of December. I'll keep bringing you all the actions until then.
Thanks, Eric. Well, that ends East Kimberley Bulletin with me, Davina Toby Wright. We hope you've enjoyed it. Please remember to share with your family and friends. If you have a story you think we should follow up, please email us at news@warringahmedia.org.au. Thanks for joining us. Wishing you a great weekend.